Okay, so Oscar season is coming up, and I thought I would take this opportunity to discuss my favorite actor. A quick, irrelevant side note: it just started snowing outside. First snow I've seen in Sunderland, proper snow, quite some time. We had snow a few months ago, but it didn't lie on the ground. Um, that's nice. It makes nice photography, so I'm going to take advantage of that. But obviously, I hope it doesn't last too long. Anyway, I want to talk about Leonardo DiCaprio. Now, there's been a lot of talk about this Oscars. A lot of people saying this needs to be Leo's year. He's been nominated 5 times before, he still hasn't won. And that's a travesty because this man is, if not the best actor of his generation, certainly easily in the top five. Um, I don't mind admitting he is my favourite actor, and I want to point out an interesting transformation, or not transformation necessarily, but change in perception, let's say, about DiCaprio, which I think is quite striking. Back in the late 90s, and I still remember this, although I was young at the time, um, DiCaprio was sort of regarded as like a pretty boy, the sort of guy who teenage girls like, but not isn't taken that seriously by other people. But I think sort of post Gangs of New York onwards, even many guys have come to respect him as because the versatility this guy shows is incredible. Um, I have not seen a Leonardo DiCaprio film I didn't like. Of course, some of his films are stronger than others. I mean, for example, for me, a film like Catch Me If You Can doesn't stand out by DiCaprio standards, but the number of films he has done that I have thoroughly enjoyed just goes beyond any other actor. And by the way, this video is not to be detrimental to any other actor. I know there's plenty of talent out there, but for me, DiCaprio does stand out. I mean, the versatility, when you think about it, goes from an immigrant in 1860s New York to a sadistic slave owner in Django Unchained to a con artist to a stockbroker to the King of France to a Romeo on the Titanic to Romeo. Um, the number of roles this guy has done to aviation tycoon just goes on and on. He's done period films, he's done modern films, he's been the good guy, he's been the bad guy, he's been a pretty boy, he's been a tough guy. He's done it all. Um, the Revenant, I haven't seen The Revenant yet. I'm definitely going to see it. And admittedly, although this might be surprising given that he is my favourite actor, it has been a few years since I've actually seen him in the cinema. I think the last one I saw was The Inception, or Inception, I should say. Um, but, the films I've seen, like some of his early films where he was not a major star, like Basketball Diaries, are very, very good films in their own right. What's Eating Gilbert Grape is another one. Um, Titanic is my favourite film, so I suppose that goes in hand. Romeo and Juliet obviously got slated by purists for being like having a modern take on the Romeo and Juliet story, but I think it was original and I enjoyed it. Gangs of New York, fantastic film, very memorable. I'd put Gangs of New York in the top 10 films ever made. Um, I believe Titanic is the greatest film ever made. But I'll reserve another video for that. But certainly DiCaprio plays a very big role in making that. Um, so yeah, this guy has to win because the number of times he's been shortlisted, I think he has a record as one of the actors. I forget who the other guy is, but one of the actors who's been nominated the most times without winning, 5 times so far, and that is a travesty. I'm not saying the other actors didn't deserve it, but to be nominated 5 times and not win is quite something. So this has to be DiCaprio's year. Having said that, he's still only 41, so he's still got many, many years ahead. He said that he isn't going to turn to directional work, but I have a sneaking suspicion he might. Um, it's hard for me. I always see DiCaprio as a young guy. It's hard for me to see him in his 60s or his 70s. But the other thing about DiCaprio is his personality, because he has been a sincere advocate for green issues. Now, I know every actor sort of has their pet project, and people will say, well, he's a multimillionaire, he can afford to do that. But, I think he's a sincere guy. I like his personality. And he's been an inspiration to me. Honestly, he's been an inspiration to me as someone who is multi talented, not just as an actor, but in other roles as well. I honestly believe DiCaprio could be a great politician, a leader. I think this is a guy who could probably do anything he wanted. I think he is, I don't want to throw words around and say he's a genius, because no one's perfect. But to me, DiCaprio is an inspiration. And yeah, I don't want to sort of sound like I'm a sycophant or something like that. Nobody's perfect. But I was watching Django Unchained the other night, and the passion he brought to that role shows the ability this man has. I mean, in Django Unchained, he's a horrible character. He's a vicious, hardcore, racist, sadistic piece of shit, basically, in that film. But DiCaprio has the power to convince you to hate him in that film. And the same guy plays a hero in Jack Dawson in Titanic, and Amsterdam Vallon in Gangs of New York. Um, Blood Diamond, again, he plays a very, very unpleasant character. Um, so that to me is real versatility. You get a lot of great actors who, whilst they are great actors, they're somewhat typecast. I mean, take a guy like Johnny Depp. He's a great actor, but he's almost unanimously in sort of dark gothic roles. Um, and you get someone like, I don't know, try to think of another example, because I don't want people to think I'm picking on Johnny Depp. But my point is, you get other talented actors who nevertheless tend to be sort of typecast. DiCaprio's versatility is profound. Um, I can't really think of any other actor who's that versatile. Possibly a few others, possibly Brad Pitt, possibly Tom Hanks. Um, I do think, I mean, Eddie Redmayne, I don't want to take anything away from him. I think he's one of the best up and coming talents. But if Eddie Redmayne wins for The Danish Girl, I think that would be unfair, because he hasn't been around as long as DiCaprio. And don't get me wrong, Eddie Redmayne is a very, very fine actor. But I think, to give this award to anyone else when DiCaprio has been around for years, even though he's only 41 years old, would be unfortunate. Um, People have been making jokes. One day there will be a film made, and the actor playing DiCaprio will get an Oscar for playing DiCaprio. Um, the guy's biography also reads very. I mean, he was born in Hollywood, so that's almost a cliche. But um, I have enormous respect for Leonardo DiCaprio, and this is not to blindly praise him. No one is perfect, but yeah, I really, really hope he wins Best Actor at the Oscars. I know he's won other awards, but the Oscars is really the creme de la creme of the acting business. Um, so yeah, let me know your thoughts. Um, I find it very hard to see how anyone could diss Leonardo DiCaprio, because no longer do you hear guys dissing him the way they would have done in the 90s. Like, oh, he's just a pretty boy. He's showing time and time again that he is so versatile. Um, so yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio has to win